All right, everyone, as it is now 6 p.m., I will go ahead and get started. So good evening. My name is Kyle Packer. I'm a planner with the town of Oro Valley and the town's project manager reviewing the applicant's proposal. I'll also be facilitating tonight's meeting. Thank you for joining us tonight for a neighborhood meeting regarding the proposed front yard setback reduction for land zoned low density residential within the Rancho Vistoso planned area development. I'll start by discussing the purpose and agenda for tonight's meeting. Town staff and the applicant are here to give you, the project's neighbors, an opportunity to share comments and have your questions answered directly regarding the proposed front yard setback modifications to low density residential zoned properties. First for tonight, I will provide information on the public participation process and give a brief overview of the project. Next, the applicant's representative, Mr. Paul Oland, will provide a more detailed overview of the project. After Mr. Oland's presentation, it will be your turn. Please ask any questions you have for the applicant regarding their project and application. Following your input, I'll provide more information about the next steps for this project, then conclude by sharing more about the upcoming opportunities for public participation. Our primary goal tonight is to hear from you while ensuring a fair and productive meeting. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and social distancing requirements, the town has transitioned to online public meetings to protect the health and safety of town residents while still providing ample opportunity to participate and stay involved. At this point, you may be familiar with online interactive Zoom meetings, but I'll provide more information about how Zoom works and how to participate shortly. If tonight, at any point you are having technical issues with Zoom or have further questions regarding it, please contact Malini Sims at 520-229-4836 to seek assistance. Everyone's microphone other than the active speaker will be muted throughout the meeting tonight to ensure a smooth and efficient meeting. When the time comes for your input, I will turn on your microphone and, if you prefer, your camera when you raise your virtual hand. For those of you unfamiliar with Zoom, I will provide a how-to for raising your computer or telephone activated virtual hand immediately before your opportunity to provide input to ensure a fair and focused meeting and ample opportunity to have your questions and comments heard and answered. Tonight's meeting is scheduled to go no later than 7:30 p.m. I'd like to note that this Zoom meeting video and the PowerPoint presentation will be posted on this project's webpage as soon as possible. We have found that Zoom may take a day or two to process the recording. However, we will post it immediately once we receive it. Comments will also be posted online on the project webpage in a neighborhood meeting summary and forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission and Town Council when they consider the application. So where are we in the process? For text amendment applications, applicants reach out to staff through pre-application and a formal submittal, and staff draft code language for the proposed text amendment. Then the applicant is required to meet with the community. It's important to hear your comments and questions early and often. Your participation always matters, and this case will be no different. Tonight is a fully interactive Zoom neighborhood meeting. Following tonight, town staff expect to revise the draft code based on an applicant's resubmitted request. After this, the application is expected to move to the Planning and Zoning Commission unless significant input from neighbors and residents deems a second neighborhood meeting necessary. There are additional opportunities for public input regardless of a second neighborhood meeting. Public input can be provided at Planning and Zoning Commission meetings as well as Town Council meetings, and notice will be sent out in advance of all public meetings. Please help us spread the word about this proposal and upcoming public participation opportunities. Potentially impacted property owners have been notified by mail. If you weren't notified and wish to be in the future, please send us a request with your name and address to kpacker@orovalleyaz.gov. The applicant's request is to modify front setback standards for low density residential zoning in the Rancho Vistoso planned area development. The requests are to eliminate the 25-foot average setback requirement, utilize the existing 20-foot setback, and allow 15-foot front setbacks for homes with a side entry garage. Side and rear yard setbacks would remain unchanged. This application started because the applicant wants to modify the front setbacks in one subdivision. However, there's nothing unique in terms of zoning or site design that would allow them to pursue these modifications at this single subdivision level. All low-density residential zoning sites and districts need to be treated in a uniform and consistent manner. Therefore, the proposed changes would apply to all low-density residential zoned areas. However, residents of Stone Canyon and the estates at High Mesa may be interested to know that more restrictive setbacks defined in their existing HOA CC&Rs will continue to take precedence over this proposed text amendment. One more note I want to make is that for those of you who are unfamiliar with a setback is the shortest straight line distance from the property boundary to a building, structure, sign, or the like located on the same property or lot, per the definition within the town code. This means that for front setbacks, it's measured in a straight line distance from the front property boundary to the building, and so on for the side and rear setbacks. An example of the setback is provided in these aerial photos, which show homes in the town of Oro Valley already utilizing front setbacks of 20 feet for front entry garage homes and 15 feet for side entry garage homes. The side and rear yard setbacks are smaller than and not reflective of the current or proposed side or rear setbacks for this application. In the first photo, you can see the side entry garage. A side entry garage is exactly that, a garage that is entered from the side as opposed to the front of a lot. This side entry garage home has a front setback of 15 feet. This is reflected by the orange arrow on the second photo. The blue arrow on the second photo reflects the 20-foot setback applicable to homes not utilizing this reduced setback. As stated earlier, these standards will apply to all areas in Rancho Vistoso zoned low-density residential. Shown on this map, these areas are Stone Canyon 1, 6, and 7, the estates at High Mesa, Painted Sky Elementary, and the applicant property, Vermilion at Rancho Vistoso. However, an important point for properties with HOAs, such as Stone Canyon and the estates at High Mesa, is that the front setbacks defined in your existing HOA CC&Rs are more restrictive than the proposed text amendment. As a result, your enforced setbacks will not change if this text amendment passes. With that in mind, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Paul Oland with Paradigm Land Design, who is representing the property owner, to provide more detail regarding their proposal and to explain the what and why of their application. I'll now take a moment to unmute him and ask him if he would like to share his screen.
Thank you, Mr. Packer. I actually don't need to share my screen tonight. It's a fairly simple request, and the exhibits that you've shown actually provide the information graphically that I was planning to, so thank you for that. I won't take long. Again, my name is Paul Oland with Paradigm Land Design. I'm representing the owner developer, Fairfield Homes. This proposal is very simple, and as Mr. Packer pointed out, it won't affect other properties besides this one because of existing setbacks on the other LDR parcels that already exceed this. So this piece, the Vermilion at Rancho Vistoso piece, or it's also known as Rancho Vistoso Neighborhood 10 Parcel A, is a long and skinny piece. There aren't other pieces too much like it in Rancho Vistoso. This one is made skinnier by the fact that there is a wash on the east side, and there's actually an oversized 100-foot open space buffer all along the west side. So what you end up having is pinched in from both sides. You've got room for a road and then homes on either side. And what the developer is asking for, what Fairfield is asking for, is a little bit of flexibility on how much they can push the homes closer to the road. They still won't be right up on the road, obviously. They'll still have that 20-foot minimum for the front-facing garage, the 15-foot sides or 15-foot setback for side entry garages, and other, if there's a spare bedroom or something like that. that will allow for them to be more responsive to the demand for larger homes that they're getting. They've been working in pre-sales, and there's a lot of interest on this property. Of course, as with everywhere in Oro Valley, people want to move to Oro Valley, and so there's great demand. And what they're hearing over and over again is a little bit larger would be great. And so by reducing this front setback, we'll be able to have a greater variety of floor plan options that can be offered to potential buyers. And it'll also make for a more visually interesting streetscape, because you won't end up with everybody at that 20 or 25 foot setback with garage doors right on there. You'll have a little more articulation, some building elements coming a little bit closer, etc. So the net effect is that there'll be greater design flexibility on this parcel. It will tend to bring values up a little bit as well, just because you will be able to put slightly larger homes and more floor plan options, as I mentioned. No effect on any nearby landowners. The nearest homes to the ones in Vermilion are over 200 feet away. Most of them are more. And this has already been approved, obviously, through town council a couple of years ago. It's under construction. Meets all the requirements for the La Cholla Air Park crosswinds runway that crosses over there. That's all been analyzed, and the plan fits in well with that. So that's the long and short of it. Greater flexibility, meet buyer demand, and only impacting really this property. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Oland. Before we get started with your questions, I'd like to explain how you can all participate during the meeting. During the question and comment period, if you wish to speak, please use the raise your hand function in Zoom. There are 2 ways to do this. For those of you calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Again, if you are calling in by phone and wish to participate, please use the passcode 158065 shown on the bottom right of the slide. For those participating on any platform that uses Zoom app or website, find the participants icon either at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on your device. Click on participants, and this will open a dialog box where you'll see an option to raise your hand as shown on the right of this slide. Alternatively, if you're using an iPad or tablet, you may need to click the 3 dots that say more as shown on this screen in order to get the option to raise your hand. Raised hands will be moved to the top of the list in the order in which they were raised. I will then announce your name and unmute you so you can speak and also turn on your video. When it is your turn, please make sure you are not muted on your personal device and that your video is not turned off on your personal device by using the microphone and video icons shown on this slide. When I announce who's up to speak, I will also announce the next person whose turn it will be so that person may be prepared. Once you've asked your question or made a comment, please mute yourself or remain silent to allow the speaker to provide an answer. Once an answer has been provided, I will ask you if you have a follow-up remark or question before moving on to the next participant. If you are having any technical issues with Zoom or have further questions, please contact Malini Sims at 520-229-4836 to seek assistance. We're going to do our best to get through everyone's questions and comments, so please keep your input to no longer than 3 minutes out of fairness for all participants who wish to be heard. The goal of this meeting is, again, a productive conversation about the project and constructive feedback and questions. And at this point, I will be ready to turn over to folks who have questions, although I do not see any raised hands at the moment. So I will take a moment and see if anyone would like to raise their hand. I'll give you about 60 seconds. Alrighty, about halfway through that time, so I'm going to go ahead and ask once again if anyone has any questions or comments that they would like to ask the applicant regarding this application. Okay, and one last time, if anyone has any questions or comments, please raise your virtual hand. All right, one last time, or is there anyone who would like to speak on the topic? Then seeing and hearing no comments, I want to thank you for joining tonight's fully interactive Zoom meeting. Following tonight, town staff expect to review the applicant submittal and refine the code language. After this, the application is expected to move to the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you weren't notified and wish to be in the future, please send us a request with your name and address to kpacker@orovalleyaz.gov. The next opportunities for public input will be both the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings as well as Town Council meetings, and notice will be sent out in advance of all public meetings. Please help us spread the word about this proposal and upcoming public participation opportunities. Property owners within Rancho Vistoso low-density residential zoning have been directly notified by mail. Lastly, please continue to forward all questions and comments to kpacker@orovalleyaz.gov and go to ovprojects.com to visit the project webpage, where we will continue to add new information as it becomes available. If you did not receive a yellow postcard for this meeting and wish to be notified in the future, please email kpacker@orovalleyaz.gov and I'll put you on our notice list. Thank you very much for your time tonight and have a good evening.